How's it going, guys? Matt here from the Toasty Bros, and I am here with another Newegg build guide. And in this build, I'm going to be showing you all a sub $500 gaming PC build that will allow you to upgrade to an i5 or i7 in the future while still having gaming performance for today. So, without further ado, let's roll that intro. Now, as I said, this PC is sub $500, coming in at $494.92. Now, this build will have everything you need to get going right away into gaming on a PC, and also have the ability to upgrade. So, without further ado, let's jump right into the processor. The processor is an Intel Pentium G3258 Haswell dual-core at 3.2 GHz. This processor is fully unlocked, rocks Haswell's architecture, and it supports QuickSync video. So this processor is known for its overclocking abilities. It's a dual core that's fully unlocked and will be allowed to be overclocked to possibly 4.4 gigahertz or above, as much as you can get this thing to. And with the cooler that I've added for this build, you'll be able to keep this thing nice and cool while you get a lot of performance out of it. Now, yes, it's only 2 cores, but in the gaming load today, you can get by with 2 cores. And as I said, this is basically a way to get your feet wet into the PC gaming world and just basically get a build that works and plays PC games right away. And the big key feature here is it's $70, but also it rocks the 1150 socket. So if you wanted to upgrade to an i7 in the future, you have the power to do so. Just buy an i5 or i7, take the CPU out, put a new CPU in, and you're good to go. You're golden. So you have an upgrade path for this build, and that's always a plus for a budget build, is to have the upgrade path and the ability to do so. Now for the motherboard, I got the MSI B85 G43 Gaming LGA 1150 motherboard. Now, as I said, this is the LGA 1150 socket, so that G3258 can be a temporary type processor, and eventually when you want to stretch into things like Photoshop, video editing, more intensive gaming, you can upgrade to that i5 or that i7 processor. So this motherboard also supports overclocking. MSI has a really sweet overclocking suite that allows you to overclock your processor to just the best it can get. So it's very simple to use. The user interface is great. It's really sweet. Jackson has one for his, let's see, his 6300. He has an MSI board, and the overclocking suite and BIOS is really easy to understand and go through. It's very universal also, so you could look up stuff around the webs and you could find a tutorial on how to use the BIOS interface, because MSI really scales their BIOS to pretty much all their motherboards. So it's an awesome feature to have. And this supports the i7, i5, i3 Pentium Celeron that are on the 1150 socket. It also supports RAM up to 1600, which is not really that fast, but what are you going to do? It's 1600 megahertz RAM. You really aren't going to need anything faster. If you do need faster RAM for some reason, be sure to pick up a motherboard that supports more. That's really my best option to you. And speaking of RAM, we're going to take advantage of that max speed limit by using the G.Skill Ripjaws X Series 8GB at 1600 megahertz. Now this RAM is basically RAM. It's G.Skill, it's red, it's going to fit the scheme very well, it's going to look nice. And it's RAM for $42. 8 gigs. 8 gigs is kind of the standard nowadays. You might as well get 8 gigs if you want a system that's going to work well. 4 gigs you can get by with, but not with most gaming AAA titles nowadays. So 8 gigs is the way to go. And if you want more, slap in another 8 gigs, another like kit like this, and for what, $84, 86 basically, $86, you can get 16 gigs of RAM. You know, it's a no-brainer. And to power this system, we're going to be using the Corsair CX430. Now, 430 watts is actually enough to power this system. Overclocking can be a little bit iffy, but I do have the 500 watt Corsair CX500. This version right here, if you click on it, this 500 watt power supply, I have that in my system right now, and only for a couple bucks more you can get this power supply and have a little bit better overclocking headroom and upgradability headroom. So that's also I recommend to go with like 500 watts or 600 watts. If you know you're going to be upgrading to something ridiculous in the future, might as well do so. But this system right here is overclocking an i7 2600K to 4.2 gigahertz right now. Using this power supply, no issues, no hiccups at all. So that's a highly recommended, that's not even English, highly recommended power supply to get. So Corsair CX series is cheap, affordable power supplies that do the job. They're not the quietest in the world, but they do the job. So I picked up one of these for the build, and I hope it works out for you all. As for the GPU, I went with the GTX 750 Ti superclocked with 2 gigs of VRAM. Now 2 gigs of VRAM is really kind of the minimum you should go with for AAA titles, but as I said, you can't get by with 1 gig of VRAM in some games, but it's really not recommended unless it's a certain case scenario. But 2 gigs of VRAM, it's a 750 Ti superclocked, requires no external power if I remember properly. I don't think it does. Yeah, no, it doesn't really require any external power. It's a very low power card, but very, very powerful for FPS per dollar. It's an awesome card for a budget build. You can play 1080p titles very easily. And for $119 with a $20 mail-in rebate, so you can get $99 worth of gaming out of this thing, it's worth the purchase. I highly recommend it. As for storage, I couldn't manage to fit an SSD into this build, but if you're willing to drop 30 bucks, I recommend you pick up the Silicon Power S60, 120GB SSD for a boot drive. It will make wonders, but that can be something you can upgrade whenever you upgrade everything else. So first off, we got the Seagate desktop 1TB hard drive. Basic 1TB hard drive, nothing to really say about it. It does a job for this build, hold the OS and games. 1TB should be enough, but if you need 2TB, go for 2TB. There's always more you can spend in these kind of builds, but this is just a basis of what you should go with. And to cool that CPU that I talked about when you're overclocking, Hyper 212 Evo, not much to say about it. Look up reviews on the internet. Very affordable, very great CPU cooler, and I highly recommend you pick it up. Keep everything running cool. I use it in my system. Cools my i7 very well, so it should cool this G3258 even better, especially with Intel processors getting cooler and cooler and less, power hungry as generations are. For the case, I went with the Logisys Computer Black Solid case. It's really nothing special. It's an ATX mid-tower with a 480 watt power supply built in, which you really don't even need. But if you wanted to hang on to that power supply, you got an extra power supply. This was honestly the cheapest case I could find, and it came with a power supply. So, you can keep it. I really wouldn't recommend you using that power supply, but it's always good to have a backup power supply. So, yes, this is the case I went with. You could definitely go with something so much better. But it holds the computer. It works. It will hold what you need. You can play games using a case. It doesn't matter what case you get. But yeah, you'll be able to play games on this, and I highly recommend whenever you upgrade to that i5 or i7, get another case with it. I highly recommend that. So overall, this build comes out at sub $500, as I said, $494.92, and I highly recommend you pick this build up if you're looking for something to get your feet wet using the Intel platform. G3258 is a great processor for this build. So thank you guys again for watching this video. Be sure to leave a like, a comment below, subscribe to our channel. We're growing rapidly and I love the growth we're getting. It's so awesome. If you haven't already, follow our Twitch stream where we do Toasty Cribs live every Sunday, sponsored by Vidfall. We basically review people's setup that they submit in, and that's a lot of fun to interact with you all. So if you haven't already, follow our Twitch stream and use our G2A referral link to buy games so you can help us while you buy those awesome titles on G2A. So thank you guys again and have a wonderful day.